What's going on YouTube? TeamSC back online here. Got another video for you guys today. It has been a while since I've cast some 3v3 games, but yesterday was a glorious day because for the first time in a long time we got the dream team back together. We have, as I was saying. So anyways, in the top left corner we got me spawn in as the orange Terran, and I am with none other than Brain Crusher aka 2Base Muta, and we are with Spec spawning as the random Terran today. Now it is a 3v3 and we are up against none other than Kodiak playing as the teal Zerg, Pakao playing as the red Zerg, and then their last ally is Marcos playing as the blue Terran. Now this is a 3v3, this is on back country. All allies share the kind of adjoined bases with one main ramp at the front. For the entry to all the bases, and everyone has expansions relatively close down this little ramp to the side. There are destructible rocks here that can be broken down to completely wall it off, and then the enemy has to break it down even further to actually get past in. And then moving on, there are even more expansions down here, and then another set of destructible rocks, and then some miscellaneous expansions kind of here off to the sides and in the middle of the map. And we already actually have Kodiak going for a very interesting base location, opting to expand on the low ground and towards the front side. And this is actually a hard base to kind of keep, because to actually get to it you have to walk down all the way and actually go around this ramp to actually get to here until they destroy the destructible debris. If he does manage to get his creeps spread out and some rocks breaking down, I think he can probably keep it. But early on, if we do scout this, it is going to be pretty difficult for him to hold this base because it is easy to pressure. Red Zerg also going for an expansion down here. And blue Terran going for one base so far, building 3 barracks. Looks like they're going to go for a little bit of a rush. I don't think we have decided to scout this game. We are being very lazy, so if you go to our view, we actually don't have any intel on this. We do have an overlord moving across the map. We are opting to just play macro, taking a couple bases for ourselves. Did finish the wall off at the front, which is good. Hopefully we'll scout out this rush in time so we can actually defend it off. But anyways, we do have Richard. He is going for some roach play. I am planning to go for some cyclones this game. Ever since they changed them, I haven't been using them too much. I just started using them again like 2-3 days ago, and you know, they're actually really fun. For any of those who don't know, one of the recent patches, they actually changed it and made the cyclone a lot cheaper. So instead of 150 gas, it's now only 100 gas. The only drawback to this is they increased its overload going down for Kodiak supply cost. So cyclones, instead of 3 supply, now cost 4 supply. Which pretty much means you can't really mass them. You can make a lot in the early game if you keep it with the depot production, but towards the late game you will max out very quick, and your mass cyclone army won't really be actually, too big of a threat, because they do cost 4 supply and they're very squishy for a 4 supply unit. But I'm opting to ignore it this game and just have a little bit of fun and see if we can get any damage done. So we have actually scouted this expansion, so I am going to go for some cyclones and get a couple Hellions to actually support this, because you don't want cyclones alone against Zerglings. They do get destroyed. Definitely good to have a couple Hellions in the mix with them. I'm going to be destroying our destructible rocks to make sure they can't attack us from this side. It does look like does got stem on the way from Marcos. Going up to this production tab, just kind of keep an eye. 3 barracks going down, going up to Starport, and still hasn't taken expansion yet. He is one basing very hard, and I don't think he can actually support 3 racks and get medevacs off of 1 base and upgrades. It's definitely not doable. Marcus needs a little bit of an expansion going on, but his Zerg teammates are doing better. They expansions going. Kodiak has secured a second. A lot of lings coming out for Pakao, even a couple banelings. Looks like they're going to try to bust the wall. Meanwhile, we're still just macroing, and we actually don't have any insight of this, and they are going to be moving across the map. If we switch over to our vision here for a second, actually completely playing in the dark, ladies and gentlemen. I do have a couple Widow Mines out here at the front to kind of scout the front side. Hopefully pick up any lings if they're not micred going towards the front. But usually against banelings, you want your Widow Mines just right behind the building, so they snipe the banelings when they clump up against the wall. A couple Zerglings actually going right inside of the Widow Mine, and we do have some pings. We do know that some pushing is coming across the way, and oh, Zerglings running in, a huge Widow Mines hit going up. Oh my gosh, and he lost almost like half his army there. 3 Widow Mine kills for this one and 11 for this one. Zergling's going to be coming up. Didn't micro his banelings to the front to get the wall, but Hellions have come here. Roaches are going to be moving up to the front. Do need to switch spots with the roaches of Brain Crusher, because Hellions are not good against roaches. That wall is actually going to go down, but these Widow Mines are almost ready for another shot, and it does look like they decide to back off, going to opt to not run up that wall just yet. Needs a couple more banelings if they are going to break that. Going to be dropping these Hellions down a little bit, just trying to bait them into the Widow Mines. do get some good splash damage. Going to try to kill a couple of those Marines since they're all in the red zone and do force the pickup right there. So not too bad. Terran is going to be having to fly away. Does do a little detour to make him think we're running home, and is actually going to be coming here and dropping my expansion. Going to be bringing the Hellions back. Just not quick enough, unfortunately. As quick as Hellions are. I am going to have to lift off this command center. Don't want it to take any unnecessary damage. And Hellions do get here in time. We will be able to resecure this base. Blue Terran is just being a little annoying. Cyclone has come in, going to begin the lock on one of the medevacs, and actually going to be able to bring it down. He should eject his unit, try to get a little damage done, but he doesn't. And actually might even be able to get the snipe on that second meta. Ooh, very close, very close. And some Hellions over here, not sure what they're doing, hanging out on that side of the map. A little bit of a misclick there on my part. But all in all, it looks like we did do pretty good defending the rush. Red is going to be transitioning, getting a third base going up, going to be teching up to Hydras. Looks like Roach Hydra for the Red Zerg. Teal Zerg is getting his upgrades, does have a Roach Den and a Spire on the way, and actually has managed to still keep this base mining thus far. We haven't been able to move out and do any pressure to push it. And Blue Terran finally taking his expansion at 6 minutes. It is a very late expansion, but better late than never, guys. We're going to be moving out. Do have a couple of Cyclones in the mix too. Blue Flame is done for these Hellions. I'm just going to be trying to kite these Roaches. Just kind of getting up there, doing a little damage, tanking with the Hellions, and we do have the army superiority, so we're just going to straight up fight this. And a couple more Roaches even coming in. Kodiak going to have to retreat his Roaches because he doesn't want them all here to get slaughtered. Excuse me. Can't talk today for some reason. So what happens when I get out of shape on making videos. So I'm just going to be chasing this down since he's not Micah and his Roaches. Going to be doing a little damage. And taking this opportunity to actually go flank by and see if we can do some damage to this base. Meanwhile, Brain Crusher is going to be moving his Roaches to the front. Going to be doing a little damage. Actually misclicks and kills his own Roach. But all these Marines on move command getting completely sniped. Definitely not a good engagement. Blue Terran not paying attention and losing a good amount of his Marines. And these Roaches, well, it looks like they are going to get cleaned up. Actually did a good amount of damage because of a little blunder from Marcos. Poor Marcos. Definitely holding this team back just a little bit. Roaches do go down, and we do have the Hellions and Cyclones moving in over here. Do get all the drones eliminated. Going to be trying to work on this hatchery. For those of you who don't know, the lock-on ability can actually be used on buildings, and if you upgrade it with the whatever it's called, I forget what it's called, mag field accelerator, it increases the lock-on damage by 400. So they do like 800 damage to buildings in just a matter of seconds. And as you see, Hellions would take forever, but because we had a couple Cyclones, we were able to get those buildings down pretty quick. But we are a little bit ambushed. That one walkway is the only way out. Going to be trying to keep this army alive, and actually a little bit of blunder for Teal. We should have just camped there on the ramp, and we are going to actually run away. And do manage to keep a little bit of our army alive, even kiting a couple Roaches with the Cyclone. Just going to be sniping a little bit, and this is kind of what you have to do if you're ever playing like Cyclones, Hellions. You're not the best at taking a straight up fight, but you're definitely good at doing a lot of hidden runs and just kiting around the middle of the map, using them to just kind of slow pushes, or even when you're pushing. Yeah, so anyways, well, like I said, the mag field accelerator ability, definitely have been having a lot of fun with that. I've actually been using it to like defend against cannon rushes, because you can actually lock onto the cannon and then just move your Cyclone back a little bit, and you're completely out of the range of the cannon. And if you have a couple of them, you can destroy destructible rocks or like Nexus command centers in a matter of seconds. It's actually kind of ridiculous, but you have to just make sure that's not completely on the auto hotkey. You have to actually manually use the C button and hit the buildings, or else the Cyclones usually will lock onto a unit over a building unless there's nothing else in reach. And then I don't think multiple Cyclones will lock onto the same building. So if you want to bring down a building fast, you have to actually manually do it. Do have Marcos moving along with the drop, going to be trying to do some damage over here. Brain Crusher's got a couple spores down, and they actually do finish just in time. Going to deter this drop and make them leave. Do have a sensor tower up, and looks like turning into a macro game on both sides. Red is up to 3 bases. Blue is taking his third base, and Teal actually needs to get his third base up. He did lose this one, unfortunately for him, and is going to have to rebuild it because he is just on 1 base economy right now, which is definitely not the best. If we go down to their view, they are going to be looking like trying to push the back rocks, but got to be careful. We do have a sensor tower placed here, and if they come in range, we can kind of see and get an idea that they're going to be pushing the back. So all in all, it looks like they are kind of scattered across the map. Marcus a few units down the side. Kodiak down the middle, getting a couple of Mutalisks in the mix, and then the Red Zerg here onto the side. I don't think they're doing the best job cooperating with each other. It does look like we're going to have a little bit of engagement here. Do have the Cyclones coming in. Going to be trying to get a lock on those Mutas and then kind of kiting them. For those of you who don't know, Cyclones are actually half decent against Mutas because you can lock on and then just completely run away or chase the Mutas and actually get the kill. Even though Mutas aren't armored, they still, Cyclones still, in my opinion, have done fairly decent against the Mutalisk, and we do have a bit of an engagement here. Bio does move up. There is a tank here that has been keeping the little clump of Marines at bay. You got to be very careful here. Very careful. We don't want to get caught down the ramp and lose our army. So we're going to be trying to move on to the side to get a little flank. Red Zerg is going to be going for these back rocks, and we are going to find a good clump of roaches. Just going to try to kite these out. As you can see, it like Cyclones take out armor just ridiculously quick, but we do have the chunk of the force here moving through the back rocks. Going to be moving in. Some Widow Mines for Spec coming in, not getting burrowed in time. Took a little bit of a lag delay there, but a couple Widow Mines shots going off, getting some good splash damage, but there is a huge chunk of stuff here. Do have Brain Crusher coming in with the rest of the Zerg forces, and is going to be forcing the retreat for these guys. Red Zerg actually not even pay attention, just kind of staying here and letting Marcos do all the fighting at the front. Tank's going to be moving into position and should clean this up very well, but Marcos is going to move his Marines up and drop on the tank, but we do have the Hellion Cyclones coming back for me, trying to help defend the base. They're going to be trying to kite this army here, and we do have a lot of Hydralisks, and I've got Blue Flame Hellions, so I'm definitely not too worried about those Hydras. Marcos is going to be doing a little run by trying to get a little damage done in the main base. Meanwhile, we do manage to push the Red Zerg back down here. Going to be having to deal with this now. I do have the Terran player running, being a little bit of annoying, going to be trying to snipe out whatever he can, but we do have our armies coming back, so it shouldn't be too much of a big deal for us. Armory is going to go down, but we didn't have anything researching, thankfully, and Marcos is going to be getting cleaned up here. And we do have the Cyclones in time just to get the lock on and make sure none of these medevacs survive. And all in all, not too bad. Couple Mutalisks here being annoying, but these Widow Mines should clean them up here in a matter of seconds. Mutalisks actually, what has it got? Looks like just +1 attack in the upgrades. Red Zerg is 1-1. And Marcos, the Blue Terran, is actually also 1-1. So not doing the best job on their upgrades. I think mine is not too good either. My upgrade, I just have 2 armor, if anyone's wondering. Usually when I play this style of mech, I like to get the armor upgrades just so they live longer. Because the Cyclone's real glory is that it does a lot of damage over time with the lock-on. And your +1 attack upgrade is really just going to help the base attack, which really, in my opinion, is not even too strong. And same for Hellions. Hellions excel at doing good damage against light, but if you get the Blue Flame, your plus damage against light gets like an extra 10 or whatever it is added on. So the upgrades really are the ones that help the damage output on these types of units. So ideally you want them alive longer to dish out damage. Just like for my Cyclones, I'd rather them take an extra hit and be able to shell out that extra 40, 80 damage, whatever it is, for the lock-on ability. So that's why my rationale will be why I get the defense upgrades over the offense upgrades with this style of mech. If I was going for more tank Thor type mech, I would definitely get the attack upgrades over, but I'm going to have to run away. Bio does get me on the flank. And you can kind of see here, I am going to be locking on these mutas and just trying to kite them. Actually, do a little bit of a blunder and get out of the mix of this. Do morph this to a planetary fortress. Kind of a ballsy move by me trying to take my third base at this gold base, which is very hard to secure. But we do have a couple lurkers coming in for Brain Crush going to be helping out. And we do actually are moving in and do get a decent lock on these mutalisks. Did there's like 5 or 6 of them there. Actually, got the camera right away, and you can see actually this is an example of spamming the lock-on building on a hatchery. You see how quick that goes down? It's just kind of ridiculous. But they won't do that by themselves. You always have to actually manually do that, guys, if you ever want to bring down a building quick. Alright, and so we are going to be moving in, trying to get sniped here. Did lose a big chunk of our army, and a lot of stuff is weak, but we're just going to try to snipe out this hatchery as quick as possible. And you can see that damage is ridiculous. It's a handful of Cyclones able to bring down a hatch in a matter of seconds. And as you can see, this is why I've been using a whole bunch of Cyclones lately and just having a lot of fun. Do have the Zerg army kind of pushing in the front, but we do have a couple defensive lurkers here in the planetary fortress to try to keep us alive. I am going to be microing these Cyclones. I just do get another decent lock-on on these mutalisks here, and it is going to be a battle of the trenches. There are a couple lurkers for him there, going to be trying to individually micro these Cyclones against these lurkers, but not doing the best job because these mutalisks keep coming in from the flank, forcing me to have to kind of retreat back. But it does look like they're having a little bit of trouble contesting this point. Don't have too much here defending, just a handful of units and some lurkers in the planetary. But they're actually doing a world of good at actually holding this off. Going to be repairing this planetary fortress and actually getting a really good lock on here on the Mutalisk with all the Cyclones and going to be chasing them. And this is kind of like what I was talking about earlier, though. if you do get solid lock-ons with your Cyclones, man, you can chase those mutas and actually kill a decent amount. And do have the Bio getting a little overzealous, going to be charging in, trying to do some damage to the Cyclone Hellion Ball, but Planetary Fortress does repel them off. 12 kills on that Planetary Fortress. So definitely doing a good job holding this forward base. In the meantime, I think I'm messaging Nooch. I'm telling him, because he went for a lot of tanks and Widow Mines, and we haven't actually seen him. He's kind of just turtling up in Macro, and I'm like, hey, dude, get your tanks up here. They could really help. You know, obviously I could get some tanks myself, but that's not the point of this. I'm going to have some fun trying to use some Cyclones. And we're actually holding. It's been like non-stop battle for the last like 10 minutes, guys. It does look like Brain Crusher is going to be running some Lings by on the side, trying to do a little counter push and do some damage to the expansions. And Brain Crusher has come to my aid with a couple of Hydralisks to help me defend my third base. And the night is dark and full of terror. Well, a little Game of the Thrones reference for any of you guys who are fans. I actually just started watching Game of Thrones a couple weeks ago, and I already finished all 6 seasons. And now we have Spec finally moving in with his tanks and Widow Mines, going to be sieging up this base. Do need to repair my mech. A lot of it is very damaged, but we do have +3 armor plating, so they can take a hit. Spec, on the other hand, has +2 attack, which is good when you have the tanks. Oh, and my gosh, looks like this Zerg is just getting slaughtered. They are not actually paying attention. I think all this stuff was like rallied wrong or accidentally right-clicked. He lost a lot of Zerg forces for actually no reason, and it does look like the Speedlings did get a decent run by, managed to kill a bunch of these workers here on the side. Still a decent amount of units out on the board. If we click on the armor tab, it looks like Marco's trying to... I'm not sure what he was trying to do. I thought there were some Marines there, but we do have some Liberators coming up front. And you can see the supply difference. Spec at 176, Brain Crusher 118, and I'm at 110. And poor Kodiak's down to 5 and 90 and 70. So it does look like the numbers are in our advantage. We're going to be moving up forward, getting ready for the final push. There is a handful of Bio here. It is 2-2, but Bio is definitely not the best against tanks and Widow Mines. Ladies and gentlemen, splash damage does destroy this unless you have just almost flawless micro and good splits, but there are even Liberators here to support. Going to be moving in with the Hellions and Cyclones, going to be getting a lock on this Bio. I'm just kind of running back to the tank line now that we have some support here. We can actually kite this Bio. Normally you don't want to engage a Bio, but we got some tanks to fall back to, so it's not the best thing. Going to be trying to pick off some of the medevacs at the very least. And just being very annoying. A couple tanks moving up. Bio is going to move in, but the tanks do finish. Going to be forcing this Bio to actually retreat. Widow Mine spread is moving a little forward, and we're getting ready to push the main base. Ladies and gentlemen, do have a big force for Brain Crusher coming in on the side. Going to be pushing in at their expansion. It does look like they don't have much at all. They've just got this small army of Bio. Going to be moving these Cyclones up, locking on supply depots and barracks, and just bringing down those buildings very quick, guys. Very, very quick. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just in love with this unit after figuring out that I can spam the lock-on on buildings. You don't even know how much fun and trolling I've been doing. Even if I lose, I mean, don't get me wrong, Mass Cyclone is not the best thing, and it gets destroyed by a lot of stuff, but when it works, man, it is so much fun. Do have big Doom Drop here coming. Marco's deciding to gather everything up for one last push, but there are a couple Widow Mines here going to be doing decent damage, taking out a little bit of that fleet, and he is going to be dropping all of his Marines here on the siege tanks, and Zerg is going to be having to pull back. Meanwhile, we are pushing their main base at this time. Going to be the last army of Marcos, and we should see a GG after this. And Marcos has left the game, and that's it, guys. Let me know what you think. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see. I know I've been kind of branching out and doing a little bit more than just StarCraft, but I mean, I'm never going to forget my roots, okay? Alright, till next time, guys.